December 2nd, 1805. The Battle of Austerlitz, Napoleon Bonaparte's most perfect victory. But what if the army facing him that morning was not 85,000 Russians and Austrians, but 300 men from the 22nd Special Air Service Regiment? Modern operators with night vision goggles, suppressed carbines, Lapua caliber sniper rifles, and Javelin missiles. 2 centuries of military evolution against the Emperor of the French. Napoleon commands 90,000 men. The British have 300. The mathematics is simple. The answer is not. The rules of the simulation are fixed. The location is Austerlitz, modern-day Slavkov Ubrna in the Czech Republic. And the date is the morning of December 2nd, 1805. Fog covers the low ground. The Pratzen Heights rise above the Goldbach stream. Napoleon commands 90,000 men of the Grande Armée. Marshal Soult holds the center. Marshal Davout marches from the south. Murat leads the cavalry reserve. 250 cannon are deployed across the French front. The British force is 300 operators of 22 SAS Regiment, drawn from a single Sabre Squadron, reinforced. They arrive with the equipment carried by a modern squadron on deployment. 6 Jackal patrol vehicles, each mounting a 50 caliber Browning machine gun. The loadout also includes 48 Javelin anti-tank missiles, 12 L-16 81mm mortars, personal weapons, body armor, optics, and the ammunition they can physically carry. There is no air support, no drones, no artillery beyond the mortars, and no resupply. When the magazines are empty, they are empty. The objective is survival until nightfall, approximately 9 hours of winter daylight. Both sides have the morning of the 2nd to prepare. Both know the other is there. Napoleon Bonaparte is 36 years old. He has been Emperor of the French for 13 months. His Grande Armée is the most refined military instrument of its century. The line infantryman carries a Charleville Model 1777 musket, a smooth-bore flintlock with an effective range of 80 meters. Its rate of fire is 3 rounds per minute. Its muzzle velocity is approximately 450 meters per second. French tactics are built on the colonne d'attaque. Battalions advancing in dense columns of roughly 600 men, 50 meters wide and 8 ranks deep. The column trades vulnerability to fire for speed and shock at the moment of contact. Cavalry is the decisive arm. Murat's reserve includes cuirassiers and steel breastplates, dragoons, and hussars. A heavy cavalry charge closes 400 meters in under 1 minute. Artillery is Napoleon's particular instrument. He served as a gunner himself. The 12-pounder field gun, nicknamed the Emperor's Daughter, throws a 5-kilogram iron ball to 800 meters. Canister rounds at close range turn a single barrel into a giant shotgun, firing 41 musket balls per shot. The true weapon of the Grande Armée is its corps system. Each corps is a self-contained army of 20 to 30,000 men with its own cavalry, artillery, and supply. They march separately and concentrate on the battlefield. At Austerlitz, this is what allowed Davout's 3rd Corps to march 110 kilometers in 48 hours and slam the Allied flank. The French infantryman has fought in Italy, in Egypt, at Marengo, and at Ulm. He has marched 30 kilometers a day for a month. He believes he cannot be defeated because so far he has not been. The Special Air Service Regiment was raised in 1941 in the Western Desert by Lieutenant David Sterling. Its motto is "Who dares wins." Selection rejects 90% of applicants. Each operator carries an L119A2 carbine, a Colt Canada variant of the M16, chambered in 5.56 by 45mm NATO. Its effective range is 500 meters, its cyclic rate 800 rounds per minute, and its muzzle velocity 940 meters per second, more than twice that of a Charleville musket. Sniper teams field the L115A3 chambered in .338 Lapua Magnum. The British sniper Craig Harrison recorded a confirmed kill at 2,475 meters with this rifle and helmet in 2009. At Austerlitz, the longest sightline on the Pratzen Plateau is approximately 1,800 meters. Heavier weapons include the L7A2 general-purpose machine gun in 7.62 NATO, the Minimi light machine gun, and the M2 Browning 50 caliber on the Jackals. The Browning fires a 12.7mm round at 890 meters per second. It remains lethal beyond 2 kilometers. Anti-armor weapons designed for Soviet tanks become anti-formation weapons. The Javelin missile uses a top attack profile against tank turrets, but against a 600-man column, it functions as a thermobaric warhead delivered at 1 kilometer per minute. The operators carry image-intensified night vision optics. The French army does not yet possess a reliable percussion cap. Doctrine is the inversion of Napoleon's. Where the Grande Armée concentrates, the SAS disperses. Four-man patrols separated by hundreds of meters, supporting each other by fire. The plan is not to hold ground. The plan is to make every square meter of approach cost the French more than they can afford. Dawn breaks at 07:35. Visibility under the famous fog of Austerlitz is less than 100 meters on the low ground. On the Pratzen Heights, the sun rises above the mist. The first French unit to make contact is a squadron of the 11th Chasseurs à Cheval, 80 horsemen advancing in column up the eastern slope of the plateau. At 1,200 meters, a sergeant of D Squadron settles his L-115A3 onto a bipod. He chambers a single round of 338 Lapua. He squeezes the trigger. The squadron commander, riding at the head of the column, is struck through the chest. He falls from the saddle. His horse continues for 30 meters before slowing. The chasseurs halt. 80 men have just watched their officer die at a range they cannot comprehend. There is no smoke on the ridge. There was no sound for 2 seconds. There is only a body. A second round arrives, then a third. 3 officers down in under 12 seconds, all at ranges beyond anything a musket has ever achieved. The chasseurs retreat. They report a witchcraft they cannot describe. Napoleon receives the report at his command post at 08:10. He listens in silence. He orders the artillery to deploy. He orders the line infantry forward in 3 columns to fix the British in place and identify their strength. He does not yet understand. He believes he is facing perhaps 3,000 light infantry with unusually accurate skirmishers. The columns step off at 09:20. 48 battalions of Soult's IV Corps move up the slope of the Pratzen. Approximately 24,000 men in 8 columns, drums beating the pas de charge, eagles raised. The SAS observation posts identify them at 1,600 meters. The mortar teams begin to range. The L-16 81mm mortar fires a 4.2 kilogram shell to 5,650 meters. The first ranging round lands 60 meters short of the lead column, and the second lands inside it. Within 90 seconds, 12 mortars are firing for effect. A French infantry column is 50 meters wide and 50 meters deep. A single mortar bomb detonating inside it kills or wounds 20 men. 12 mortars firing 12 rounds per minute deliver a casualty every half second. The columns continue forward because their officers do not yet understand that retreat is also death. At 800 meters, the GPMGs open fire. The L-7A2 fires belts of 200 rounds at 750 rounds per minute. Tracer rounds draw the geometry of the slaughter through the December air. The columns walk into a fixed cone of fire that does not waver. A musket ball, once fired, accounts for 1 man. A 7.62 NATO round, fired in 3-round bursts, passes through a shako, through a face, through the chest of the man in the second rank, and lodges in the pack of the man in the third. In the front column of the 36th Linie, the first 4 ranks are dead before the survivors reach 400 meters. The columns break at 10:05, 45 minutes of combat. French casualties on the slope of the Pratzen approximately 7,000. British casualties 0. Marshal Soult, watching from the rear, says nothing for a long time. Then he orders the cavalry forward. Murat commits the heavy cavalry at 11:40. 4,000 cuirassiers, dragoons, and carabineers form into squadrons on the lower ground. Steel breastplates polished, sabres drawn, trumpets sounding the gallop. A heavy cavalry charge is the most fearsome thing in 19th century warfare. 4 tons of horse and armored man, arriving first at the trot, then the canter, then the full gallop. The SAS troop commander on the eastern ridge has been waiting for this since dawn. The Javelin is a fire-and-forget anti-tank missile whose warhead is designed to penetrate 600 millimeters of rolled, homogeneous steel armor. Against 4,000 horses in close order, the warhead does not need to penetrate anything. The first Javelin launches at 11:43. It climbs to 150 meters, acquires the densest mass of cavalry on its thermal seeker, and dives. The detonation kills 41 men and 38 horses outright. A second missile fires, then a third launches from the southern Jackal. 4 are airborne within 90 seconds. The cavalry, trained to ride through musket volleys, has no doctrine for an object that falls from the sky and erases a squadron. The Browning 50 calibers on the Jackals open up from the flank at 1,400 meters. A 50 cal round passes through a cuirass as if it were parchment. The charge does not break. It is destroyed in place. Of the 4,000 cavalry committed, approximately 2,400 are dead or unhorsed within 7 minutes. Murat orders the recall and the bugle is heard, though many do not hear it. By 1210, the cavalry reserve of the Grande Armée has effectively ceased to exist. Napoleon does not panic. He has seen 9,000 of his men die in 3 hours, and he observes. He has noticed what the British have not yet noticed themselves. The fire from the Pratzen Heights is concentrated. Wherever the SAS shoot, no man can stand. But the front is 6 kilometers wide, and there are only, he now estimates, perhaps 400 of them. At 13 knocks, the Emperor issues new orders. The corps are to disperse. No formation larger than a single company is to move in the open. Every ravine, every fold of ground, every village is to be used. The army will not advance in columns. It will infiltrate. Davout's Third Corps, arriving from the south, is ordered to ignore the British entirely. He is to march around them. The road to Olomouc is open, and the road to Vienna is open. The British are dangerous within 1,800 meters of where they stand, but outside that radius they are irrelevant. By 1430, the Grande Armée is no longer attacking. It is flowing around the Pratzen Heights like water around a stone. The SAS troop commander watches columns of French infantry, in extended order, crossing the Goldbach stream 4 kilometers to the north. He cannot engage them all. He has 14,000 rounds of 5.56 remaining across the squadron. He has 9 javelins. He calls into his commanding officer. He says one sentence. He says, "We are winning every firefight and losing the battle." The sun begins to set at 1610. The temperature drops below freezing. Napoleon has lost approximately 11,000 men. He has not lost a single objective. Night vision optics give the SAS an advantage so absolute it is almost embarrassing. In total darkness, an operator with a PVS-31 sees a man at 300 meters as clearly as the man sees nothing at all. The Grande Armée, deprived of its formations and deprived of its cavalry, should now be helpless. It is not. Napoleon orders the army to bivouac without fires beyond the British sightlines, with no movement until 04 us and the wounded to be gathered. The Emperor writes his dispatches by candlelight in a peasant cottage 4 kilometers west of the plateau. He has identified the only target that matters. A 19th century army cannot defeat a 21st century special forces squadron in open battle. But it can wait. It can disperse. It can outlast. The SAS cannot resupply. They have approximately 36 hours of effective combat power remaining. After that, the 338 rounds run out, the javelins run out, and the mortar bombs run out. After that, they are 300 men with bayonets, against 80,000. This is the calculation the Emperor completes by 22 CAC on the night of December 2nd. He does not need to attack the British. He needs to keep them on the Pratzen Heights, isolated until their ammunition is gone. He detaches a single division to mask them. He marches the remainder of the Grande Armée east, toward Olomouc, where the Tsar of Russia is now without an army to protect him. The Battle of Austerlitz in this scenario is not fought on December 2nd, 1805. It is fought on December 4th, when 300 men with empty magazines meet a French division on open ground. In a stand-up engagement, the SAS kill the Grande Armée at a ratio of approximately 30-1. They cannot lose a firefight. They cannot be charged successfully. They cannot be struck by a musket beyond 80 meters. They also cannot win. 300 men, however armed, cannot occupy 6 kilometers of front, cannot prevent a 90,000-man army from marching past them, cannot pursue, cannot resupply, and cannot replace a single casualty. What Napoleon understands by sunset on December 2nd is the same thing the Mujahideen would later understand about Soviet armor, and the Soviets would later understand about American helicopters in the same valleys. Technology decides engagements, but geography, time, and numbers decide wars. The SAS would kill 15,000 Frenchmen before their ammunition ran out. Napoleon would lose a quarter of his army and still take Vienna. The sun of Austerlitz would still rise over a French victory. 2 centuries of military evolution sit on the Pratzen Heights, firing into eternity and run out of bullets before they run out of enemies.